Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes and I am delighted that you are with us today. Our wonderful guest today is Rob Thomas. He has spent the past 20 years and more helping big companies to get unstuck. He sits down with teams within those companies and listens, and he asks the right questions, and he turns the fuzzy goals into clear, doable plans. From automotive giants to banks to energy firms to tech startups, he's worked all over the world, figuring out what people really need and how to make that happen. Faster, simpler, and with a lot less drama. Along the way, he has coached executives one-on-one, guiding them through making the toughest decisions while keeping the human side front and center. Whether he's designing systems that save millions of dollars or smoothing supply chains so nothing falls apart, whatever Rob is doing, his particular gift is making complicated things feel straightforward. That same clarity and care shows up when he works with individuals, too. He has a knack for cutting through noise, spotting what actually matters, and helping people move forward. And these skills translate beautifully to the everyday stuff that trips couples up as well, and you just knew that would be true. So he wrote a book about that as well. It's called Wordless Connections. Deepening intimacy without saying a word, even if you're married. Wow. These days, when he's not untangling corporate puzzles or exploring the mountains on skis, Rob is happiest at home with his wife and children, reading a good book, or quietly testing the ideas that became Wordless Connection. My good sir, welcome, Rob.
Thank you.
Great. It's really good to have you here today. And
Thank
maybe you could help me with some of my problems too.
I think this is a team effort. I think it takes a village with all of us. So as I help you, you help me. And so I look forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Well, we talked a little bit ahead of time, and I'm an attorney who has worked with businesses during my whole working career. So I kind of know just how hard it is when you are running a business, especially a small business that doesn't have a lot of resources, to work with the problems that come up in the business as it grows. They need somebody like you who can help them grow that business and structure that business as it grows. And you must see a lot of problems like that in your career. You must have seen them if you're winding down.
Sure. That's very true. Actually, a lot of times people, they get into it and they even are surprised that people are interested in their product or their service, and they get more and more customers and they start hiring people. And things kind of, often success kind of helps you along the way, but at some point it can start to run over you. And so I think helping somebody kind of talk out loud what their vision is, what they want to do, why they're in the business that they're doing, and then it's once they understand that, start asking questions. How do we do this? When do we do this? Who do we need to help us do this? Those are really the kind of the process that you can go to. But it's really understanding the why initially. Why am I in this business? Why am I doing this? This may be different than anyone else. And how am I addressing this problem? Again, that's different, because often we keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working out. And we keep going through employees, and we seem to either hire the same ones or we can't quite get our message across. So really understanding why we're there and why we want to accomplish something, I think is really not just the key thing for businesses, but also for individuals and also people in relationships. So,
Yeah, I think especially for people in relationships. I mean, in working with businesses, and originally I start in as a lawyer. That's usually the presenting complaint. We need a contract, or we need some contracts, or sometimes they need an estate plan because, my goodness, what if he died? He's essential. Well, we have to have first get a partnership contract in place, then let's do estate planning, whatever it is. But if they have a structure, they quickly can put into place a structure. But in a family, it's a lot more complicated. I mean, if you're a couple, you've been married for 10 years, and you got ways of doing things, and sometimes those ways of doing things are the reason why you've already seen a divorce lawyer once, and he talked you back
right,
into trying more. But
right.
that's a hard kind of thing to restructure a marriage because you live together and you've done all the wrong things for quite a long time, let's be sure. So, yeah.
And that is a challenge. I think that there's several ways to look at kind of marriage and how we evolve, the challenges we face, and how we solve those challenges. One of the things that I think is interesting is that when we get together, we really are clear about why we chose each other. Because it's not just an issue that we chose each other, and there may still be some, wondering how all this is going to work out, but we chose each other different, from others that we had met. And we make that choice and we're moving forward. And as we get going, things seem to be kind of working out. We are enjoying the adventure, we're enjoying the trip, and things move along. So one of the things that starts happening is that life comes at us, and
Oh, life
we
is in the way. Yeah.
life is in the way. And so no matter what kind of relationship you have with your partner, you have other things. You get a new job, or you need to move, or you want to get a house, or you want to get a new house, or maybe you lose your job, or you want to get an advanced degree. Maybe you have children, and maybe you've got a family member who is ill, or maybe you're ill. Anyway, it seems like every single day we've got 4 or 5 kind of major things going on that we're managing, not only as an individual but as a couple, and they are taking our resources, they're taking our kind of our mind space, and they may or may not have anything to do with our relationship and how we're engaging. And so we often think, okay, I'm going to focus on my relationship on the weekend or Friday night, or we're going to
Oh, no.
take a vacation, or we're going to do something so that we can get back together to where we were in the beginning. And because we enjoy each other and we work well together, more or less, we often give ourselves a great deal of leeway of thinking we're going to get back to our relationship, but we've really got life going on. So really, part of what we need to figure out is how are we going to manage our relationship, either month to month, week to week, or day to day, moment to moment, why we have all this storm going on. And the storm really is what life is. And that's not necessarily going to go away. Our kids get older, or we get more experience with our job, we get more responsibility. There are just different things that are happening that still kind of take, at best, 20% of our attention, if not 80% of our attention. And so we need to figure out, how do we manage our personal interaction with our partner day to day. And that was kind of the challenge I had that initially got me to start thinking about things that led to this book that I wrote.
So you had these issues in your marriage a little bit
I
then, you're
did. I
saying.
did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't think I did. I think it was more that marriage keeps changing,
Yes.
and it changes in a variety of ways, and you interact then differently during those changes. In my case, um, I was the classic doctor and lawyer combination. Back when we got married 50 years ago, um, that was a very good status kind of marriage. We were
Sure.
two professional people, and 50 years ago, that was new and that was high powered. Um, but my husband didn't like being a doctor. And he discovered that only after he became a doctor. And he
Sure.
put up with it for 30 years, but then he didn't want to put up with it anymore. And I decided I was probably making enough that I could support our family by myself. And I proposed to him. This was daring, in retrospect, because we had kids at the age that they were about to go to college, right?
Right.
And I said I could probably handle it. And his mother was at the age that she was going to doctors every day almost. And she was not getting the best care because she was an old lady. But
Sure.
if she had a doctor sitting next to her, I reasoned, she'd probably get better medical care. And she did actually. I told him, "Why don't you retire early?" And he said, "Oh, can I do that?" I said, "Yes, you can. I think you can." And would you know, I think we had her for another decade, and she was on her last legs, and he got her fixed up by asking all the right questions. He took good care of his mother. Another 10 years we got out of mom, and meanwhile, it worked out. It
Very
somehow
nice.
worked out.
That's so lovely. I one of the things that I think you're highlighting, really, that I think all relationships go through is that each year, and maybe some people might think it doesn't happen every year, but really each year that you're married, it's like there's a new situation and the relationship is different. So it's almost like you were talking
Yeah.
about, maybe having a beginner marriage. Well, really, it's almost like every year we got a new marriage, we
In
got
a
a new
way,
relationship.
in a way,
We're
that's true.
older, we're a little more experienced. We might have some more interests or more demands or
It was a
something that
totally
matters to us.
different marriage because
Sure.
he had been a big shot in my marriage. And then after 35 years, he wasn't that anymore, was he?
No,
He was
no.
retired young and he was a farmer because we had a farm. And I could have been bossy, couldn't I?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't. I, I
That's,
just,
that's,
I just loved him more. And you know what? We had a wonderful marriage. We had the start of a wonderful marriage then.
well, that is so wonderful. And what a great thing. And I think that reflects positively on him and also on you. And what a nice thing that not only you had that experience, but again, I was commenting about your being on a podcast. It's nice that you can share that story with others because that is an example. Not everybody has that, or they don't have that in
Reinvent your
every phase.
marriage. If you don't like the way it is now, the two of you can reinvent a new marriage.
I think that that is very true. I
And
think that's
53
very
years
true.
and counting. And I think I wouldn't have my husband now if he had kept a career that made money, sure, but he was miserable and he was
So,
wearing himself down being miserable. He's been a
well,
happy man ever since.
well, what
And
a
you know
wonderful
what? He
thing.
is healthy as a horse.
Well, that
I
is
just
nice.
got off the phone talking with a man that I really cared about a lot. He's another lawyer. And I was going back to an old town that we used to live in to have lunch with him. And he was calling me to tell me he had just had a stroke.
Oh, that's terrible.
He is dying.
Wow.
He's my husband's age and he is dying.
Yeah. We can do the best we can, but I do think we can be better together. And each of us individually can perhaps flourish more as we're able to find ways to connect in our relationship. And so I think looking at ways that we can maintain that connection
Yep.
And do it daily, because I am certain we could kind of dive in and look at what you and your husband do daily, because it isn't just something you do once a month
No,
or on occasion
no,
or when
no,
it
no.
strikes you. There are things of how you talk to each other. It's how you ask questions. It's how you
Marriage is
listen.
a very precious, complicated, beautiful thing, but a long marriage. Now that is really precious.
Sure. And
50 years in
it's a
time.
great gift. It's a great gift that you have, that you and your husband have given each other. And what a wonderful thing. That is such a great thing. And I tend to think, I mean, you might have more insight on this. I think it's a little more rare. I don't think everybody quite has that, particularly for that long period of time.
You've got to maintain it every day.
You do. You
And
do.
you
In
have to
fact,
enjoy it every day because it's fun. It's a
yeah, you're
fun thing.
right.
You want to stay
So,
young? Keep a good marriage going. Wow, that keeps
yeah.
you young.
I think that that is really valuable. In fact, part of what I discovered as I was kind of going through this in my own marriage was that there is opportunity and there are more resources just even within at our fingertips within us that is able to keep that fun, keep that spontaneity, help us actually feel closer, and I will even say remind us daily why we chose each other. And again, that's part of the heart of my book, is this idea of how you can do this and nurture this daily. And again, remember every day why you chose each other.
Yeah.
And it isn't, wow, am I having a good moment today? Maybe so, maybe no. But it's keeping that memory fresh of why you chose each
Even
other
better, keep
is
keep
really great.
remembering why you would choose each other again today.
Yeah, well, it really becomes that's the treasure. That really is the gift that we want to hold on to, is
It's
why we chose each
the
other, and
best.
that would make us want to choose each other again. And so that's really kind of where we're at. And again, we've got more resources than we may think. In fact, one of the things that I found out is that within ourselves, our body kind of keeps track of what's important, and we need to find ways that we can connect with each other and share that. And the good news, we don't even have to say anything. It's really something that our body has kind of developed over time. I mean, throughout the eons of time that humans have been on the planet, that where a 5 second hug or a 5 second kiss, or a hand massage or a shoulder massage, that there's different ways that we can engage this. And the thing that is interesting, and maybe after this podcast, you can go talk to your husband and he can maybe talk about this and maybe more detail that might be of interest, is that when we hug someone, and really this can be anyone, but in particular our partner, we hug them for 5 seconds or longer. And again, this isn't, it's not sexual. It is just we are being close. When we hug each other for 5 seconds or we kiss each other for 5 seconds, something happens where our body has a neural response. And the neural response that our body does is it releases serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. And these are not only things that make us feel good, which is a reinforcer of the moment, but the things that these three things do for us is that they make us feel safe. And often the very reason we chose our partner, whoever they are, whatever the circumstance, somehow they made us feel safe. So really, long-term relationships are not just about romance. They're about romance, but it's more about safety and security emotionally. And that happened. And that's really often why we choose a long-term partner, is that we're feeling that safety with them. And our body reminds us every time we hug for 5 seconds. And so the other thing that's interesting, so anyway, I am just suggesting, and this is part of what I suggest in the book, 3-4 times a day, you take 5 seconds at a whack and you hug or you kiss or you hold hands. You find a moment. And then one of the things too that is so interesting, there's research too that it is even more impactful when we say nothing. When we don't say anything as we go in for the hug, we don't say anything during the hug, we don't explain it. There's no play-by-play. And after the hug is over, we just step away. Part of the research is that if we're talking, our brains look at our body and our communication, and if they're similar, they pay more attention to the words. So if we're hugging and one of us is talking, both of us are listening to the words. We're not really appreciating either the hug or the the pharmacology that's going on within each of us, that we are getting this serotonin, oxytocin impact. We're not getting that as much as we could. And so part of this, again, for this daily nurturing, which again, just takes a few moments, is to give a hug with no comment. Do it without speaking. Make it wordless. And this is really, the title of the book is Wordless Connection. So we're not communicating wordlessly, we're connecting. And really what you've done and what you have shared and what you've enjoyed is that you and your husband connect. You're not just communicating. A great marriage, particularly a long-term marriage, is about not only connecting, but renewing that connection on and on and on.
Yes.
And so it's the connection that we're looking for, not the communication. And we get confused, I think, with all books and going to therapy and even
That thing is so much
medication.
more important. And you know what?
And we can
To
manufacture
marry
it
somebody,
ourselves.
if you're right-handed, marry a left-handed person, or vice versa. I'm
Wow.
left-handed, he's right-handed. And we've always held hands while we're eating. You got to do that. And we've always held hands while we're driving. You got
Oh,
to
get
do that.
out. That is so fun. Actually, that's not only could be a
Watching
romance movie.
TV, when you're watching TV, you got to hold hands. It's automatic because there's that comforting time all day long. There's an opportunity to hold hands, and it was automatic when we were dating, and it just became automatic through life. We're
So,
walking on the street, we hold hands.
so
It's just
this,
automatic.
the key word that you also highlighted is comfort. Again, people think that the goal is it could be other things, or it could only be, say, romance or something. They could have some other thing that they're looking towards, but really what they're looking for, and you said it, is comfort. Again, this
We
gets
could
back
be
to the
mad at each
safety,
other.
right?
I'm really irritated, so mad. But we're walking on the street. It's automatic. You grab his hand.
What a wonderful, and it's that kind of thing that you need to do just in the flow of life, like breathing, that
It's
will
like it's
keep
like
you
breathe. It's like normal. It's like
right.
normal.
As you do that, then you've got all these storms in life. Again, health issues or children or
Yeah, yeah.
a
Or
promotion
just
or
you're
losing your
you're
job.
irritated about something he did today. You still hold
Yes.
hands. Maybe you'll talk about it a little bit later. Maybe it'll go away because you were holding hands watching some TV show. It's just normal. It's been normal for us since before we were married.
Well, you're a great example. Um, I think one of the things that came up in the research is that 57% of people who are in a marriage and there's nothing wrong. They're not angry. Everything has gone. They've worked through things and so forth, but they're at a point because they're not doing what you've talked about. 57% of the people can't remember why they got married in the first place. They don't remember why this person is important to them. And I really think it's this daily, moment to moment, intentional focus on being connected. And it's small things. Again, I have found that some people think 5 seconds, oh, I'll do that later, or whatever. But as you hold hands as you walk down the street, as you hold hands watching TV, as you said, and I can't help but think that as you part or as you come back together, you give each other a hug. And see, and I don't think you don't strike me as a side hugger. I know people who just they
Yeah.
hug, but
Yeah. No, we
so
are friends.
it's a two-handed, body to body hug. That is what matters. That's where you get this oxytocin release, and the body wants this. The body knows for your personal survival, and the body is very interested in itself continuing on and being happy and being in place. And so over eons of time, the body has developed this ability to have this dopamine release and to feel this. In fact, something that is so shockingly amazing is that, first of all, humans started living together in groups about 300,000 years ago. And humans just like being social. We've always been social. And so we live in groups, and we did this, I'm sure, partly for safety, but, we wanted to be around other people, and we'd have families and children, and we needed help with all that, and probably even for hunting and protection and so forth. So we lived in groups. Here's the interesting thing. For the first 250,000 years, we did not have the ability to speak. That only developed about 50,000 years ago. And there's science about it, and it's really, that could be its own book about how we developed the ability to speak. So during this period of time, our bodies had to learn and understand a whole library of ways to communicate wordlessly. So even today, we can go to any culture, any language, everybody knows what a smile is. Well, you don't need to be taught that from the womb. We know what a smile is. We also know what eye contact means. We also know what a kiss means. We have this whole library that we walk into this world with that gets our attention. The fact that you can walk down the street and hold your husband's hand and you get something from it. It's not like, oh yeah, I got to remember that this is good. No, you don't have to remind yourself.
It's clear.
It feels good. It's
very
clear.
important. But
you don't have to do hypnotherapy. You don't have to do anything.
I'll tell you why it was especially important in our case. We didn't even know this until just recently, but my husband has high functioning autism.
Wow.
He used to, when I met him, I thought he was just a quiet guy. Well, he's a quiet guy. I helped open him up by holding his hand. And it worked. I remember when very early in the relationship, when he would look around for me and find me and know that I would be coming to hold his hand. And that was important to him. Tip for young women who would like to get a man to bond with them. Hold their hand.
Yeah.
Hold his hand, even if it isn't important to him. Hold his hand.
I will take this one step further. Touch their shoulder. Don't say anything. I'm just saying this touch that you're talking about, holding hands, and again, I'm trying to get something that seems so almost meaningless, it seems. You put your hand on their shoulder as you say hello, or you want to smile at them.
Do it.
I'm just trying to take your point and make it so even more basic. Touch them.
Do it. Touch them
Yes.
all the time.
This is so important.
Man all the time.
And it's something that you can go ask your husband. You may already know this because you guys are so close. Is that I anticipate until you started doing that, he didn't feel connected to anyone.
No, he didn't. I'm sure that's true.
And so you holding his hand, it's like a revelation to him.
Yeah.
It opened his eyes. He didn't think this would ever be available to him. And so the very thing that may seem so simple, in this case to you, but I'm really talking to everyone, is that something that seems that you can manufacture, a handhold, touching them on the back, a hug,
Yeah,
looking at them in the eye, again, wordlessly.
If he's the one, touch him all the time.
And see, part of what you're doing, and I want to separate this from just touching, from intentionally touching. You are touching because you're investing. You're touching because you care. You're touching because you want them to understand
You want them
what's
to
in your
know that you
heart.
care. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so, and
And men will
again,
never tell you it's important to them, but it is crucial. It is
right,
crucial to a man that you want to touch them. You want that connection with them.
that you're open to that. Again, this may seem subtle, but there's a difference between touching someone and intentionally touching them. Because really, one of the other things that there's science about, and I talk about this in the book, is that when we intentionally do something, it's like we think of how we love in our heart, and we send that message through our arm and to our fingertips. And their skin and our skin, and actually this is science, molecules always want to bond, even living cells. So as we touch them on their hand or on their neck or on their shoulder or whatever, and we do it intentionally, that feeling of love is magnetic. In fact, it's electrical. Our bodies have a kind of a small electrical current going through it. And so this, when we're intentional and we are really focused on this, this is part of how you make this connection. So people are thinking, oh, that Roberta, that could never be me. Oh, she thinks she's so smart. Well, no, she's doing what we all can do. This is open to everyone. Everyone's got a body that wants this to happen. We have a whole library of things that we can make this happen when we're intentional. We choose it. And then as we choose it and we touch our partner, they feel chosen. They feel chosen.
Never be in the same room with the man that you hope will one day bring you a ring, where you don't have some part of your body touching that man. I'm telling you.
Well, I think you could be a dating coach.
Touch his neck, touch his shoulder, touch his hand, run your fingers through his hair. I don't care.
It matters.
It matters so much. You'll want to do it. I mean, I was a young girl. I was so in love, my goodness. I couldn't sit next to him and not be holding his hands or doing something.
What a wonderful thing. And again,
but the thing is that the young men watching or listening to this are thinking, that is so devious and conniving to be doing those things to the guy. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it still is what young women would like to do. And I'm just saying, go for it.
Right.
Don't.
I want to speak to those people who may feel like it's just out of their league. I knew someone who they knew that they needed to connect. And this wasn't just with their partner, it's even with their children. They were often so involved with, they were an engineer. They were very focused on being an engineer and all the stuff going on.
They couldn't touch their children?
So what they did is that they set their watch to remind them to touch the people in their life. They knew it was important, but they'd get distracted. So the reason I bring this up is that we all humans behave in a bell-shaped curve. And a lot of people are exactly like you talk about, Roberta. They can do it. But some people may be on one end of the curve or the other, which makes them kind of outliers. I'm saying you don't need to be excluded. You can find ways to remind yourself to do the very behaviors that Roberta's talking about. No one is out of the question. Your body is ready to go. As soon as you hug someone or touch someone, that endorphin release it's 5 seconds. It's a neural release. It's automatic. They have tested this. I mean, this truly is science. And It's the body wanting to connect. The body, don't want to be alone. None of us do. The body wants us to be successful, wants us to be connected, and we're better with someone than being alone. But we just are. Tell them, Roberta. Tell them how we're better together than alone.
We are
Go ahead.
so much better together. You would not believe. My husband is almost 86, almost 87 years old. And he is young and he is very healthy. He goes for long walks every day. You would not believe his age to look at him. He's so vigorous. My goodness.
And what have you had to do about that? What has your influence, this behavior that you've talked about? How has that helped him be this vigorous?
Well, I don't think I think of him as his age. I mean, I have not thought, I look at him and I see him as 45 and treat him as 45.
Well, see, Roberta, you are a great example of how this can work for someone. And I'm just inviting people to experiment. In the book, at the back of the book, I've got 5 experiments. In fact, they're not like, recipes or anything, although they kind of outlined as recipes, but really they're very simple just to get you to start practicing. We practice and just see how it goes. I did national research on this. I got people of all ages, across the spectrum of all demographics, orientations. Some people were rich, not just well-to-do, they were rich. I got people who were poor. I even got a drug dealer who wanted to be close to his wife, and it was hard.
Oh my goodness, how awful.
Can you believe that? I mean, I love it. In fact, when I got it, I had all these people send me their journal entries, and this guy kept a journal about his wife and his experience with these 5 experiments. So I get the book, try the 5 experiments, and be intentional about it. And as you go through that stuff, you can start experiencing this. In the book, I talk about my own experience kind of as these, and kind of, I had these things kind of unfold in my own life. And one of the other things, and Roberta, I'm going to tell the story and then I want you to talk about your own experience because I know you got one, is that when I started this initially, and I was doing this wordless activity with my wife, I didn't tell her anything was going on because I thought, what if I do it wrong? You can't do it wrong. But I was thinking I could be creative enough to screw it up, so I didn't want to tell her, oh, hey, baby, we're going to try this thing. And I thought, well, what if I screw it up and I got to fall off the high wire or something? So I didn't tell her. Anyway, that turned out well. Well, what I found is that as I continued to do that, without any discussion that I was doing anything, she, in a separate way, started to respond back to me wordlessly in a way that was so touching and meaningful to me. And so one of the things I noticed about the participants in the national research, I told them, one of the instructions I gave them is don't tell your partner for the reason I felt, you may feel like I can't do it, or they're going to they're going to say something or whatever. So don't tell them. Well, what they found out is after they did it, and often in some cases, their partners say, what are you doing? And I told them, just tell them I'm trying to be more loving. Just say that. Don't say anything about the experiment or anything. And so they'd say, okay. Well, after the person who was kind of working on it did it a couple of times without discussion, permission, or warning, their partner would come and give them a hug for 5 seconds. I mean, as soon as the partner found out that it was safe, they somehow, through the ether, thought it wasn't okay to touch. As soon as they found that out, then they both started doing things that, again, no discussion. This wasn't planned. Our bodies want this. We can just do this.
They want so much to be touched.
They do. Everyone, both sides.
It's just holding hands. Holding hands is the easiest thing in the world to do. And it feels good and it feels comforting. And whatever else is going on in your day, just hold hands for a few minutes.
Yeah, it is so powerful. The book, I've got a copy here. I'm just holding it up.
Yeah, isn't it
Wordless
lovely?
connection. You can get it
Lovely
on
cover.
Amazon. One of the things that I also wanted to highlight that I think is important is that there is not a malady. I mean, no matter how small, that our medical industry or our marketing industry or the book industry or somebody has tried to just amp up. So you'll buy the book, you buy the medicine, you go to a therapist, everything is made so serious that you can't solve it without outside help. The thing that is so amazing about this is that you can solve this yourself within 5 seconds. Um, when you look,
Especially problems between spouses. I don't care
there,
how annoyed I am with him. If I sit down and watch a TV, a useless, crummy, awful TV show, and I'm holding his hand, by the end of it, I forgot why I was mad at him.
this is really a key point. All the things that do need medication or do need a therapist, those things really deal with dysfunctional elements. And there may be some dysfunctional elements in your family or your life. Fine, work with them. But again, 57% of the audience that was feeling disconnected or heading for divorce, it was because they just lost this connection. There was no disruption. There was no anger. There was no
Yeah,
problems.
I mean,
57% of the audience felt like they were disconnected because they weren't doing this small thing.
yeah,
So
just get those hormones moving and you're fine.
the thing is that we got dysfunction that needs a lot of help, and then we have drift. We can drift. All
Yeah,
relationships at times can drift. Somebody's more busy, they're traveling too much, or they've got a big
yeah,
project, or they're going to school. You drift. So you've got to find, in fact, this is why I think it's so amazing about our bodies that it says, look, give me 5 seconds. I'm not talking 5 hours, 5 minutes. Give me 5 seconds. I'll help you feel connected. I'll help you remember. One of the things that came out of my research, I looked for this elsewhere, wasn't able to find it, is that during this 5 second hug, I heard this again and again in their journal entries, is that they then felt, they remembered, it was like the body had a memory all ready to go. They remembered after a 5 second hug why they chose that person in the beginning. And they weren't thinking of it. That's not even something that was crossing their mind.
yeah.
So the body wants this, will be your partner. Just give it 5 seconds. And
Yeah.
Roberta, you could not be a better partner in this conversation because you live it. You live it daily. You live it moment to moment.
We never forgot how to live it because we never stopped living it. To me, you start it before the wedding and you just never stop.
So there's some secret in this. Again, if you're like me, you put the left hand glove on the right hand. So you may have to kind of figure this out a little bit.
You're such a character. I just love it. We have gone so over our time, my dear, because I've been so enjoying listening to you.
Roberta, you're the one, darling. You're the one. Thank you. This has been
Thank you.
wonderful.
This really has been wonderful. Stay where you are. I'm just going to have to tell everybody who will be with us next week, and then I'll be right back. Oh my goodness. This has been this has really been so much fun. All right. Once again, my beloved friends, we have come to the end of our time together. But this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm so happy you could be with us today. Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began and you never will end. And when you really get all the implications of that fact, it changes everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest will be the wonderful, inestimably wonderful Dr. R. Craig Hogan. This will be his 51st time with us, which I think is amazing, but I never get tired of him, and he always has something new for us. Our dear friend Craig Hogan is the president and guru of Seek Reality Online, which is your one-stop resource for all things afterlife. As you know, near-death experiences are only near-death experiences. They're nothing that has anything to do with actual death. So if someone is standing right in front of you and telling you the tale, then he's never been anywhere. He's never been anything like actually dead or in the afterlife because he's alive. He has never actually died. But Craig Hogan and I have each spent decades researching death and the actual afterlife from genuine resources, some of which are more than a century and a half old. Just go to seekreality.com and start to learn for yourself that your own reality truly is eternal. Join Craig and me next week. Learn about that your life is beautiful and eternal, and that all of it is actually completely true. And our guest this week has been this wonderful man, Rob Thomas. He's been here to discuss with us his extensive and fascinating career in helping businesses and also couples, which is something very similar, with something I have done with my life. So I just knew it would be a lot of fun to talk with Rob, and so it has been wonderful. Rob's book is called Wordless Connection. Deepen intimacy without saying a word, even if you're married. And as you can see, this is exactly what we've been talking about doing, and you can do that. And his book is wonderful. So that's where you can start. The Wordless Connection .com also is the name of his website, so you might go there as well to get started. All right, and this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy and make the most of this coming week within our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being and you are infinitely, eternally, and perfectly and forever loved.
You've been listening to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Roberta blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Join us every week as we explore what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about the one reality we all share. Knowing the truth changes everything.